Here are today's top news stories and why they matter. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni is seeking re-election for another term in polls scheduled for early next year, aiming to extend his nearly four-decade rule. This is according to a senior official from the ruling party. Although he was widely expected to run for office again, it was the first confirmation from his National Resistance Movement party. Museveni, who is 80 years old, has been in power since 1986 and is Africa's fourth longest ruling leader. For more on this, DW's Frank Yiga reports.
This will be President Museveni's seventh term in office when he contests again as head of state. To many Ugandans, his strategy to extend his time in power was set in motion back in 2005 with the removal of presidential term limits, followed by the scrapping of the presidential age limit in 2017 during constitutional amendments. These moves were widely seen as paving the way for Museveni, now 80 years old, to remain in power. Analysts have described his ongoing nationwide tours focused on poverty alleviation programs as the de facto campaign trail, reminiscent of similar tours he conducted during previous election cycles. However, Museveni's supporters have defended his decision to run again, citing his enduring popularity. Here is what some Ugandans had to say.
Museveni has ruled us enough. He has done his part in doing the good things, but we have had enough. He should step down and let the younger ones take over and lead the nation to the right direction, because now we are stuck. We are declining at the same time and we are headed for decay. So as far as we see as Ugandans, there's really no progress.
The time I was born, Mr. Museveni was already president of Uganda. And at this point, we want a young leader, someone we can engage with, someone we can connect with.
Uganda will hold general elections in January 2026, in which voters will choose both the president and lawmakers. Back to you, Kerry.
Thank you, Frank Yiga. Nigeria is currently experiencing a significant wave of defections from major opposition parties, which is strengthening the ruling party and bolstering President Bola Tinubu's position with less than 2 years until the next general elections. Since Tinubu took office, many opposition figures, including 2 sitting state governors, a former vice president, and numerous federal and state lawmakers, have switched their allegiance to the ruling party. Critics accuse his administration of intentionally creating discontent within opposition ranks. Analysts warn that these defections could tighten Tinubu's grip on power and further undermine Nigeria's democratic foundations. The ruling All Progressive Congress (APC) and its main rival, the People's Democratic Party (PDP), have alternated in power since Nigeria returned to democracy in 1999, following decades of military rule. This recent wave of departures is straining the country's traditional two-party system and further consolidating the power of 73-year-old Tinubu, with just around 20 months remaining before the next presidential election. On the international front, renewed hostilities erupted between Israel and Iran on Tuesday, despite both nations accepting a ceasefire plan proposed by President Donald Trump to end their 12-day conflict. Just before the ceasefire was set to take effect, Iranian missile strikes killed several people in the southern Israeli city of Beersheba. Meanwhile, Israeli airstrikes were reported in Tehran. Israel Defense Minister Israel Katz stated that he had ordered the military to respond forcefully to what he described as Iran's breach of the ceasefire. His directive came after the Israeli military reported detecting missile launches from Iran, which triggered air raid sirens across northern Israel. However, Iran's ISNA student news agency denied these claims, stating that the reports of Iranian missile launches after the ceasefire took effect were false. It remains unclear how this latest escalation will affect the ceasefire initiative led by President Trump. And that will be all for today. Don't forget to leave a comment, share, like, and subscribe to our channel, DW Africa. I am Okeringu Shinado.